Hey, everybody, and welcome to The Sounds That Made Us. My name is Kevin, and in this show, we're talking about why people love music, their background with it, and what keeps them coming back to it. Now, we've all got that favorite pick me up song, or the one song that reminds us of a friend, or that one song that even though people tell you you should love it, you just simply despise it. Now, for those of you that don't know, I'm a musician, so obviously I've got an angle on this, but not everyone we'll be talking to plays music. Some are just bound to it, but that's what joins us all at the hip, really. That love of vocal or instrumental sounds combined in such a way as to produce beauty of form, harmony, and expression of emotion. And yes, I did just quote Webster's dictionary. So, to kick things off, I thought I'd have one of the first people I met on my musical endeavors to really dive in head first and say, I'm doing this because I love it. Nothing more, nothing less. He's been a producer, a songwriter, a musician. Many times we've even collaborated on some of the tracks you can hear in my own works. He kind of embodies this whole idea. So without drawing this on much further, here's a conversation between myself and my good friend, Brian Lucero. It is an idea as vast as space, as timeless as infinity. At the crossroads between light and dark, between science and superstition, lies the summation of man's fear and absolute knowledge. A dimension of imagination. A concept we call music. So, what's the fucking story? For anybody that doesn't know, eventually somebody will hear this. Most likely people that already know both of us. But for anybody that doesn't know, on the phone is my friend Brian. We've known each other for almost 10 years, which I think makes both of us feel really old.
Yeah.
It's kind of fucked up to think of it that way because that does not feel like 10 years ago.
Yeah, for real.
So, I know, my knowledge of you and your musical history starts when we met, but, I mean, even you can admit, if somebody meets you, nobody thinks you're in the music game, do they?
No, not usually. And it's because of, I guess, how I, portray myself or how I carry myself in some words. Mostly quiet until I feel comfortable and, I'm okay with, not letting anyone know. So,
Yeah. I remember when I met you, you were like, I'm like, who the fuck is this dude? He's like the hardest shell to crack. And
yeah.
then one day it was like, oh shit, okay, cool. This is Brian then.
Yeah, and usually it's probably like me. Like I've always been that way, where it's like I not necessarily figure people out before I let them in. It's just I'm just not guarded, just kind of like if
Fuck
you
it, I'm
talk
gonna
to
do
me,
my thing and they'll
yeah,
figure it
if you
out.
talk to me, I'll open up, but I'm not gonna do it first.
Yeah,
So
no, I think anybody that works in music or is any type of creative person is the same kind of way. It's kind of, I'm gonna do my own shit, and if you're down to be around me, then you'll figure it out. But otherwise, kind of fuck you.
yeah, like that's crazy. It's like for example, this guy that I know, he's regular at my bar or whatever, but he didn't know I did music, and everyone around me was always like, Brian, Alex does music, right? I'm like, talk to him about it. I'm like, nah. I mean, I know he does it. I'm not like one time I went out of my way and just kind of like, hey, I have this new machine, MK3, sampler or whatever, and kind of asked him a little question about it, just to kind of spark it and be
Right.
like, hey, I'm into music too, I buy gear. But and then it might have been being drunk at the time. He didn't really. He was like, "Oh yeah, I use Machine too," and didn't kind of really do anything. But then later, it got out because usually now I think with my story it's always like uh, it always starts off lately. It's always like, "Oh, so like how long you been working here?" I'll be like, I worked here before, and then I moved to Denver, and then it was, oh, Denver, why'd you move to Denver? And oh well, when I
You
was
get that whole story.
yeah, so and it's like when I'm well when I was down here, I worked at a recording studio with a buddy, and my buddy left. It was like, whoa, 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 you worked at a recording studio? I'm like, yeah, it was like this warehousey studio, like in a
That's the
warehouse.
exact same, dude. You're like mirroring every conversation I've had for the last 10 years.
Yeah. So and I kind of get into it that way, and then that's when people are like, "Oh shit, so you're into music?" Like, "Oh man, that's wild." Like, you know, but then as you get to know me more and more, then you start to realize that it's not just that I know it. Like, it's like I'm really about it.
Yeah, like that's your jam. Like, wake up. Oh, fuck. I got to go to work, but what songs can I make?
Yeah. What song do I want to listen to? What one song that I will listen to on my way to work for like 30 minutes. On
Right,
repeat.
yeah. Well, that's the funny thing about that, too, is like sometimes that song will kind of make or break your day.
Yeah.
If you make the wrong decision, you're like, this is bullshit. This song was way too hype for me going to work, and now I don't want to be here. Or you're like, yeah, cool, I'm good with this. This will be fun.
Yeah. That's how it kind of all starts. But I mean, to really go back, it's just it started when we were in high school, and well, me, I've always liked music, but I've never, they put me in music classes when I was little, and I guess it's the same thing. Even with my mom and stuff, she didn't think I was into it
Right.
because I didn't show it. She was like, "Oh, I just didn't think you were into. I put you in piano classes. You didn't seem like you were into it." I'm like, "Well, I was, but I mean, I don't know. But you want me to like come up and hug my piano all day? Like, I don't know what, like I don't know what, but
Like,
that for me.
what were they
I don't know
expecting?
what kind of
Like,
vibe I'm. Yeah, it's like I don't know what kind of vibe I'm giving off that I'm like, like I got resting bitch face on everything. So
that is
I
true.
can't.
You do. Like, there's no question about that. Like, you
So
honestly, like, you're the kind of dude, like, you could be having the best time of your life, and you're like, yeah, whatever. And that's
yeah,
what everybody sees, but you're like, this is fucking amazing.
yeah. I'm more of like I take it in.
Yeah, no, I do the same
But
thing.
so starting with that, it was kind of that where I always liked music. Listening to the radio and everything, just songs, and I was into rap when I was little. I think that was the first like genre that I was into, and
I'm
then
sorry.
starts really moving on with with friends and stuff, like having friends like Jason and all them. Their
Right.
parents were into like 70s, like the Doors and stuff like that, Pink Floyd, and it was something that was different for me because coming from a Colombian household, like I was listening to salsa, merengue, and all that stuff when I was young,
Right.
and and that for me it was like that being your parents' jam. I'm like I like it, but I'm like
I
this
mean,
is your
that's
stuff.
kind of the MO though for everybody. It's like, oh, my
Yeah.
parents like
So
this.
like
Fuck that.
you'll eventually come back to it and be like, actually, this music
Oh
is
no,
pretty
like
good.
I think both of us have circled back a lot. And we're like, oh shit, this is like really good actually.
Exactly. So my mom always says that too. Like she would always say when she was young, like my grandmother loved tango music, and mom would be like, I hate that shit. And that's how it is. She would listen to it, like not like not her jam or anything, but that she's like, oh, actually, it was pretty good.
And now she's about it. Like,
Yeah, she has the flower and everything. She does the dance. No, nothing like that. But so from that start, I was always into music to a certain degree, but I like sports and stuff.
right.
And Felix was pretty much the one who kind of got it all going,
Honestly,
which was great.
I didn't even think about that. I got to get Felix on here because that dude, like, he's like a sleeper cell when it comes to music. Like, you look at him on Facebook and all the other shit he's doing. It's like, yeah, cool. He's like a super talented dude, but anybody looking at just his social media footprint would never know this dude is musically talented as fuck.
Yeah, he's very creative, and he could put words together in such a way, and like his cadences were so like, like people can be like on the beat kind of stuff, but he was always off beat.
Yeah.
Or he would try to fit in a lot of syllables into one line.
Yeah, no, he
And that was,
understands the breakdown of language, and so like the
yeah,
way
to a degree, yeah,
okay,
he
so
does.
if anybody, you, me, Rich, Stephanie, and for anybody listening, like these are people that I've already talked to. They will hopefully be on further episodes, but all of these people that I just mentioned, we made basically a super band for like 6 months, 10 years ago. Um,
Yeah,
and so there's a song that we made called Pigs to the Slaughter, in which like everybody's hardcore talent exploded, I think you would agree on that point.
yeah,
Like that song, like it was fucking good. It wasn't good. Like honestly, I listened back to it a couple years ago. I'm like, yeah, this is there's the bones to a good song here. But it
yeah.
never got that far because I think soon after we did that, and that was where was that? That was at the original studio, wasn't it? Yeah, nothing was recorded at the new studio.
No, no, because I think we did that one
Okay. Oh
at the
shit!
other
I forgot. There were
one.
three. There were three, and the third one sucked ass and never happened. Um,
No, no, it was like that because we did.
we flipped around the other side of the building, and that's where we
Yeah,
recorded that.
that's when we recorded it because it was like, at the time if it was just a studio and not, and you're not doing like practices.
That was
Like,
that
or
was the money,
studio.
honestly. Like the rehearsal
It's fun,
spaces, that
but
was
like
where the money was.
when we moved into that spot, it was just like, yo, man, there's no space in here. Like,
Yeah.
if that moving into that spot was basically being like, yo, I want to cut out the rehearsal part of it, and that's what he was trying to do. And
And I will say that I have reached out to Adam to see if he'd do an episode. He said he would. Hopefully he doesn't hear that part, but I'd like to talk to him about that part. Like where was your head? Why did that move happen? Why did you decide to go downtown? And
oh, that downtown spot,
the down
right
did
before,
you ever you saw the downtown spot before you left, right?
yeah, I
Yeah,
felt
you
like
left
it was
right after
oh,
like that started happening, didn't you?
I was like that. I was like excited for that because that seemed really cool. Like
That space was fucking legit.
that location was awesome, and
Like he
it
had me
had
making up like on Photoshop, he like asked me like, "Hey, we need a new branding. What do you want to do?" And I gave
mm,
him like 7 different titles. I think we all sat down one. I have this vague memory of you, me, and Adam sitting down and trying to come up with like a rebranding of the studio to figure out not necessarily a new name. Like he was, I mean, Mercury Studios. It was a well-known fixture in the area, but he wanted to like kind of put his own stink on it because Mercury, I guess, was the name that the dude he bought it from had. Is that right?
I believe so, and it was like a studio, I think, in like New York or something.
Right, right, right. This guy had like a couple, and he just bought this
And
space.
it was like famous, and I think that's why people like because I always encountered people asking me like that kind of question, and I
Yeah, I
just
mean,
never knew.
well, you hear Mercury Studios and you think Mercury Records.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't know if those two have anything in common. I
No, but
honestly doubt
the
it, but
coincidence and just kind of name placement for just like, oh, this will be perfect. People would
yeah,
draw someone.
it'd be like okay, Kleenex is a popular brand. Let's go with Kleenex. That's the new name of our car make. Yeah, the Ford Kleenex. So fuck it, people will buy it.
Exactly. So, I mean,
But where the fuck were we talking about? Holy shit.
okay, yeah. So I guess going back to Felix being the key.
Mm.
Uh,
That's right.
in my whatever right now. So it all kind of started like we were in middle school, and I think I was in like 8th grade or something.
So wait, is Felix is older than you?
No, Felix is young. Felix is younger than me by a few months.
Oh, okay. So you guys are the same age, but not really.
Yeah, so like I was born '84, he was born '85, but I was born in November, he was born in February.
Okay, cool.
You know, so
Oh
just
yeah,
by a few
nothing.
months.
3 months, whatever.
Yeah. So we're basically we're the same age, but I started school earlier, and so I was a grade above him.
Barely. Those stupid fucking cutoff ages.
Yeah. So then, so you know, we got Felix kind of like approached me about it when and he's like, oh man, like I had this idea of like doing this like rap thing, and at the time we were into like rap and like the horrorcore under that scene.
Right.
We were fans. And so we decided that we wanted to make music. Or Felix was like had this idea of.
What? Hey, hang on. Give me a timestamp on this. What year would that be?
This would be. Did it happen in middle school? No, I'm wrong. It happened in high school. So this is when I was like 15. So this is probably around 99.
Okay.
2000.
Okay, cool.
Around that. So she comes up with the idea, and I want to make songs like this or whatever. And he has like lyrics, and then his dad bought him like a karaoke machine, and so he started like recording stuff off that and like little samples off that. And then he bought like the first like thing of acid. I think it was Acid Pro. Or
holy shit! Is that even still around?
I don't think so, but
because I know we had it in the studio.
Yeah.
But nobody used it because it was kind of garbage, old bullshit.
So I think that all kind of happened a little after. So like we did these things, and then got Jason involved, and then we gave up to Jason.
So you guys were in high school with Jason.
What's that?
You guys went to high school with Jason?
Yeah, but Jason was older than us. So like my freshman year, he was a senior.
Okay, got you.
So he was older, and then so we gave up to him. He's got a pretty musical background as far as like his brother does music, his mom sang in church, and she does music too, but like just church kind of stuff.
Right.
So he's kind of a musical background himself, even though he doesn't really play, but he still has like instruments that he can just always figure out, and that was something that he's really good at.
Right.
And so he comes up, and then he has like a keyboard, and then Felix shows him this, like, I guess the song or whatever that he wrote. And then Jason starts like, well, let me fuck with it, and then like I'll create a little beat. And so he created this beat on this like Casio keyboard.
Yep, that's what we all did, dude.
And then like we had like the karaoke machine, so we could record stuff off that too. And so we record ourselves. So then we.
Wait. Stop. Your first recording experience was done on a karaoke machine?
Yeah.
That's actually fucking badass. I have never heard anybody say that before in my life.
Yeah, because we would use like the karaoke machine to record samples because we had a song that was called Carjack, and basically that's what it was. It was Carjack.
If you remember the title, dude, there's a copy somewhere, and I need it.
Yeah, there is a copy somewhere, and I think Jason has it.
Yep, and guess what's going under what we're talking about right now?
Yeah, what's going on?
Holy shit.
And then, so we create that song, and then we would take samples from, like, movies to put them into the song, like, in between, like, verses.
Like dialogue samples and shit?
Yeah, there would be like stupid like samples. I remember it was like some like 80s like Vice kind of like cop movie that Felix had on VHS, and it was like this scene like he had like watched the movie and he was like, this scene I want, and it's like so silly because it was like it was like a gunshot scene, and then it's like somebody going Pedro, and then and then that was like the sample, and it was just so silly. And when I heard it, we just all kept laughing about it. We're like, yeah, put that in there. We're like,
Oh
leave
my
that in.
God.
And so when we started doing that, then we were like, okay, so what are we gonna do? Like, we're gonna be serious, like whatever. We all started kind of getting into it, and then you know, we would start going to the studio for real. So we went to this place called Insane Sounds. It was in off like University and like Sunrise.
What?
And,
There was a studio there?
there was one. It was like where that there was like a little movie theater back there.
Yep. No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh,
So that
anybody listening,
was
we're from South Florida, so I don't know if anybody knows where that is,
down in South
but
Florida, University and Sunrise in Sunrise, Florida.
holy shit. That's
And
like
so
now the retirement capital of the world.
Yeah. So Felix found it, and we went down there, and we did like our first kind of session or whatever. The guy that was the engineer, producer, whatever, his name's Mark, and we started going to them on a regular kind of basis. And then when I started, Felix in the beginning was writing kind of like our rap.
Mm-hmm.
And then then we all started individually taking over. We're like, okay, we see what you're going for. Let's just let me put my thing on it. So
Right.
That's how I started writing. So then we started making our beats on acid, and then the program, not the drugs.
Those would come later.
And so we started making the beats on that, and then we would do like, okay, we're going to go to the studio this week, so we're going to have our stuff ready, and then we would go in, we'd have the beat, and then when we were in there, that's when, Mark would kind of like mess around with stuff and, do his thing, basically like an Ian would do.
Right.
And so that's how I kind of started seeing that side of it, where I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. I would kind of want to be into that. But so in the beginning, we had these like, we would come in and we were very like, time is money kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like 30, 35 an hour, I think, to do
That's
that.
high.
To record. And yeah, and we would scrap money together, and every week or once a month or twice a month we'd go to the studio in the beginning, and we'd have everything like ready to go. We were kind of prepared.
Right.
And then it got to the point where the guy Mark, he started to kind of, I feel like he started to like what we were doing, and like because like our stuff started getting a little more like as we went along, within like a year, I would say, you could start seeing like how we've improved, like every time.
Right. The development of the sound.
Yeah, we no longer made beats beforehand. We would just go to the studio and fuck around for 10 minutes and make a beat then, and then we'd start, then maybe someone would be on the couch writing, and then someone, oh, here's the idea, and then, and then we'd make something. And then the next week we'd come back and then elaborate on it, fix it, mix it, whatever.
Right.
So that whole experience was kind of like, was what started it for me. And being in the studio like that, it showed me like, I was like, man, I could really be into this. So when I got into like, started going to college first, it was, like I did the BCC stuff and the community college route. And then,
right.
I was looking for like recording classes at the time, and there was one. And
so that would be what, like, so you said you went
like
into high school like 2000, that would have been like 2004.
Yeah, like, yeah.
Yeah, because you're, well, wait, how old are you?
I'm 33. I graduated in 2003, and then I started school kind of like right after that, so in the fall of 2003. So.
Yeah, so you're 5 years older than me, so that makes sense. It would have been like 03, 04. Okay.
Yeah. So around that time, that's kind of where we were at. We were like, we were really doing this thing, and then Felix, kind of not out of nowhere, we always knew he was into film. He's like, I'm going to go to school for film. And we're like, okay. And And he's
Did
like,
that
"Why
come
don't
out of
you
like
check out?"
left field, or has he always been like a?
He's always been that way, but I feel like where we were at as far as music, like I feel like if we would have stuck it out a little bit longer, we would have done something bigger. And
Yeah,
we would have been doing something. Like me and Jason talk about this all the time, where like we knew what we like, we didn't realize like how good it could have, it could have been. And like,
yeah, yeah.
I've been to shows like
The
down in
one that
Miami.
got away, who's related to you?
Yeah, and I've gone down to like a couple hip hop shows down in Miami, and we've seen dudes that like were in kind of like the scene that we were in, and they're still doing it, but they're like touring and stuff, like that.
Right.
Like, dude, like we were totally better than those guys. Like, oh man, we could have done something.
Yeah,
And we
I
always
mean,
kind of talk about that.
having
And
heard
then,
your style of producing and Felix's style of whatever the fuck you want to call what he does, um, I think, yeah, no, I agree. It's one of those things where it's like, holy shit, had we kept going, it would have exploded. And honestly, if that kind of music had exploded on the scene at the time that we're talking about, I don't know if if it had exploded like big.
yeah,
I don't know if that music scene would be what it is now. You know what I mean?
right. And I agree. But I also feel that our styles from the moment we began till that point, we had evolved the style, so it wasn't no longer like just like horrorcore kind of stuff,
Right.
but it was just like it just incorporated a lot of different things,
Yeah.
it kind of would have been like an opening to like stoner rap, basically.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
oh God, what is it that you told me like Felix's style was when we were recording Pigs to the Slaughter? You gave me a term I had never heard in my life.
oh, Felix has baloney style.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I'm
Felix
like, what the fuck is that? But
that's
then I
something else.
like, and you told me that before he came in that night to, I don't know if he was, did we record? No, you guys had been working on Pigs to the Slaughter for like a day or two before I ever heard anything, right? Is that right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I come in, you're like, yeah. And honestly, I want to say that's the first time I met Felix. I don't know if that's true, but you're like, yeah, my cousin is he's got a rap part on this song, and it's kind of like what we were doing, but it's also really not like what we were doing. But you're gonna like it, so come in.
yeah.
And that was a
That's great.
voicemail. I remember those are your exact words. Like I missed the call, and those are your exact words. I'm like, okay. We'll go with that. Cool. Fuck it. Maybe I get to do something on this.
Yeah. No, and yeah, that's that's true. And it just and you saw it after that. You just realized that Felix just has this real artistic mind and vision to things,
We'll call it that.
and
We'll call him weird, though, to be honest.
weird, but he can be. But yes, his baloney style. So yeah, so all of that, what happened was that Felix wanted to do film, and then I went with him because he went to go check out the school, which was
Wait, so you
Full
both
Sail.
went to Full Sail
Yeah.
at the same time?
Yep.
Oh, shit. I didn't know that.
Yeah. He went to school for film, and I went to school for audio. So when he went and got basically signed up and whatever, then he was like, "What would you think?" Like I was like, well, I want to do this, and granted, it was a little tough to kind of because it's like so expensive,
Yeah, it's
and
still pricey. Actually, not that long ago, I thought because I'm dumb. I don't know enough about recording. Maybe I can spend tens of thousands of dollars to find out some more. And so they have an online program now you can do, and this might actually piss you off a little bit, but the entire program that you went through is now available as an online class as well. And you get
Mm.
everything out. You still get the freaking MacBook, all the noise, everything. And I looked into it. I'm like, oh, wait. You're going to spend the first 2 years teaching me shit I learned hands on? Nah,
Nah, nah, forget that.
I'm good.
Hey, and the experience was different too, though. So I mean, it was my time spent. I enjoyed it. I felt uh, it being so accelerated, like the courses at the time. Like
Right.
every month was a different semester. So like every 2 weeks I had a midterm, and then every 2 weeks
Fuck
after that,
that.
so and every month would be something new, like a different class, and it'd just be like I can only miss a certain amount of hours, so it's like 4 hour lectures and 4 hour labs.
Right. You want to get that college experience, but you're like, I have way too much shit to do.
Yeah, it does that in like a year. So like in the year, it took me like a year to get my associates off that, and
That's impressive, though, honestly. Like, a year to get an associate's degree is kind of unheard of. Still.
yeah, and they just jam so much shit in there. And now I heard, now like I looked back like a couple of years ago on, possibly returning to do like the bachelor's end of it,
Right.
and turned out that now they have like a bachelor's program, because at the time they didn't have a bachelor's program for my degree.
Oh.
It was just a music business bachelor, so you got like the music business side of it. That's
Okay.
what you would go bachelor's for. But now they have an audio production, like music production.
Yeah,
bachelor's.
that's exactly what I was looking at, and I'm like, man, it's cool. Like, I can get a bachelor's in a year and a half, but man, how much am I gonna have to rehash? And
Yeah,
like, I'm the kind of
it's a lot.
dude, like, I
Like,
love
the time-
blowing people out of the water, but not for
Yeah,
that much money.
Nah, it's crazy, and but for me, I was like, this is what I want to do, and I can go to school and like take all these other classes that I have really no interest in, and have another major underneath, like a backup plan. But then, I was just like, what, fuck that. I'm gonna burn all those bridges and just kind of like have this ride or die by this, basically.
Right.
And if nothing happens, I'll figure it out. And that's kind of, the mentality that I had.
Right.
And which was, like, at the time, like, whatever. But even now, it's like, getting older, you're like, fuck, well, I put all my eggs in one basket? Like, shit, did I really just do that? All right.
Gotta do it now.
At the same time, there's still like, it's so much different now, though, that, I don't even think that way anymore. It's like, like, I mean, think about like how old I am, or like how it's too late. It's like, nah, fuck that.
Nothing's too late. It's one of those weird things. Like, people say that all the time. Like, oh, you pick a thing to do, and
Yeah.
like,
Quincy
oh,
Jones-
that's the only thing you got. Like, nah, dude, fuck off.
Quincy Jones didn't make Thriller till he was 45.
Exactly. Did you watch that documentary?
I did.
Yeah, that dude, hands down. Like, people don't talk about him anymore for some dumb reason, but that dude didn't find success until so late that
I mean, yeah, he was doing stuff at Motown, but it's no different than us. Like, I mean, we weren't putting out hit records or anything, but we're still like working on all these cheesy bands and shit.
yeah, I mean, that's the thing that, like, oh fuck, like, okay, so I'm in this cover band now, and these guys are really fucking good, and yeah, it's a cover band, and no, we haven't played anywhere yet, but there's always time to go forward when it comes to this shit. I mean, you look at the popular artists and ignore the really popular artists. Like, Taylor Swift sucks. Sorry, don't care. Bieber, that guy can go suck his own dick. I don't give a shit. But you look at somebody like an Ed Sheeran or somebody like that. That guy is our age and didn't flat out, like, nobody knew who the fuck he was until the A-Team popped. And that's in the US, obviously. Like, apparently he's been big in the UK for a few years, but that guy popped hard and he's our age. So I'm like, oh shit, you know what? It's not about timing or age. It's about, honestly, sometimes luck.
Sometimes it's luck and it's a situation, and so that's what I was hoping was gonna happen when I moved to Denver.
You and me both, dude.
Situation that could have worked out, but it's funny that by the time I was coming back, Rich did make that studio, and I was like, damn it.
Yeah, that was like the biggest heartbreak I think for both of us. Like, I went over
After
there.
all this,
Was it his? What was that party that both of us were? We were both eventually there, but never together. Was it his birthday or something?
It might have been his birthday, and I might have been working or something.
Yeah, you were working, and then you were to come later, but I had to go, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
All that noise.
I was probably living off of that other apartment complex.
Right.
That was by the just outside of downtown, like right by the school.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds about right. Because you were going to be there at like 10:30 or something. Because I had been texting you. Like, we had made sure, like, dude, we're going to see each other for the first time in a few years. What the fuck? Let's make this shit happen. Rich is doing some shit. Let's go. And then nothing happened.
Yeah. That's funny.
But, okay, so,
right,
you did the Full Sail thing.
Back to that kind of like ended that point, because me and Felix both moved to Orlando, and Jason he had a girlfriend at the time, and they were living together, and they were moving out, but then they moved to this spot and they didn't have jobs or whatever,
right?
And then she was like, we can go live with my family in South Carolina. So he did that, So me and Felix moved to Orlando. He moved to like South Carolina for a little while, and then my time spent in Orlando was awesome. I felt like it was cool to be in like college town kind of thing, when you go to shows every like weekend and go downtown and shit like that. I had a really good time in Orlando.
Not to put any detail into it, but we all get it.
We all get it. It's not just Disney Channel there.
No. Like Orlando, for people that don't know, like a lot of people hear Orlando, oh, Disney, Universal, Islands of Adventure. Nah, dude, that's the silent part of it. The rest of it is crazy party town.
Crazy debaucherous stuff. And that was funny because at the time at Full Sail, like I had just like mostly like my class were like 90% geek. That was like straight up sausage chefs for a long time. I think now it's a little more diverse, I'm sure.
Oh, it has to be.
Back then it was like no, like barely any girls at the school and stuff. So like all the friends that I had made, like one time I'm like, I still had friends, like, but all my other friends were from my classes. They were from like Michigan. They were from out of state.
Oh, wow.
So
I mean, I guess that makes sense. I guess that makes sense. You expect that, but even now, when I think of Folsom, I'm like, that's gonna be all Florida dudes and a couple of Florida chicks.
It was not. It was straight up like so many different kind of people from all over, and like.
So you were the odd man out, being from the state.
Kind of. So like, I mean, so we made like all this stuff, and then like, we would go to these parties, but it would be like dude's house because there weren't dorms there, so everyone had their own like apartments. So like the apartment complexes near that school, like they were regular apartment complexes, but they
right, they cater to the college kids. I'm sure you were like in the same complex as a lot of UCF kids because that's right up the road.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So we were like right in the middle. Like I was on, right in between both schools.
Right.
And and all my friends from the school at Full Sail, they were, like, man, these salsa parties, blah blah blah. And I was joking around. I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm from Florida. Like most of my friends go to UC. So from high school. So I was like, next week I'll take you to a party, and it changed their lives. So they're like, Brian, that was the best. Brian, thank you for taking me to a fucking actual party where there's more than just one girl. You know.
Right.
But yeah, so my time spent up there was, like musically, like I just loved, like there was so much local stuff around just because it was college town. But then there was good acts that would come to Orlando because that's the furthest low as you'll probably go if you're not a major act, because it's hard to just want to come all the
Right.
way down to South Florida and then go back up. So Orlando's a nice spot to just be like, all right, this is it, we're coming back up. So we got to see a lot of great shows, and that all kind of like opened it up, like trying to network and stuff like that. And then when we moved back, uh, it was time to find work and stuff like that. And I had
Yeah.
found before Murky, I had found like there was another studio, I believe it was called Crescent Moon or something like that, and that was like in Hollywood, Florida. And
Yeah, that sounds like a thing that would probably
yeah,
maybe
it was
trigger
actually
my
I went
memory.
down and it was crazy because I had the interview with that guy, the studio manager, and he likes me or whatever, and then he like asked me, he's like, so like as far as like music, he's like, do you play anything? I'm like, well, not really. Like, I mean, I can, but I'm like not that good. Like big music. I'm like, I can a little bit. I'm like, I know some things, and but I did know a lot as far as like the technicality of mixing and stuff like that, recording
Right,
and all
right.
that. I had that kind of going for me, so that he could, you can kind of look over. It's like, all right, well, I can teach you along the way,
Right.
and that's kind of all I needed, like that. And so, something to break me out of this, like, I'm just so intimidated by every other musician because I think they're better than me, and I'm just not that good,
Right.
and so I had that spot locked up, and they were like, yeah, we want you to intern for us, like, good. And then like Felix came up to me like a day later and was like, hey, I got a job at this place in Miami called Edit Tech. And it was
Uh-huh.
like a studio, like production company, like
Okay.
home kind of stuff. And they're like, yeah, so I went down with Felix into the spot, and they, we did some work for them, like in the warehouse, and then and then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we want to, you guys want to work for us? He's like, we're like, yeah. He's like, we're gonna pay you. So it's like, we're gonna pay you like $11 an hour. And we're like, oh shit, you right out of school, fuck yeah,
Right.
great. But then it slowly became like something that just didn't pan out. Like Felix quit before I did, and then once he quit, I was like, man,
I don't
I
want to
had
be here
another.
anymore.
I had a job at a studio, and I'm like, I'm not here anymore. And then so I kind of regretted that I missed out on that internship, but whatever.
I mean,
Stuff
yeah,
happens.
that sort of shit. It's like it's one of those things when you're like a young person working kind of sorta in the field you want to work in. It's like everything is going to be diminishing returns. So it's
Right.
like, ah, shit. Like this is what I got to do. Ah,
Yeah.
fuck.
No, that was the one thing that I was like, I hated that. But so then, uh, being back down here, at that point we had stopped kind of like doing the rap stuff that we've been doing, and it just kind of became this thing where it was like, oh, this is something we used to do.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And then
That was when we didn't know anything.
yeah, and so then I became, about more like, how am I gonna think, then I started. That's when I started taking guitar lessons, and I took guitar lessons for a year,
They didn't
and
work.
then yeah,
No, I'm fucking with you.
it
They did,
didn't
but
work. But No, it wasn't that it didn't work. I mean, I just got the basics out of me, and
Honestly, like
the
when it
only
comes to
thing,
guitar lessons, I've been playing guitar since I was like 6 years old. Not
yeah.
at a good level still, but like guitar lessons are only useful up to a certain point. Like you can go so far, you're like, okay, I've got pretty much everything I know, or I need to know rather. And from here on out, like you're only gonna be redundant for what I'm gonna do for myself.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, think about it this way. How much more have you learned about producing and recording after school?
A lot more.
A lot more. Like, would you say that you've learned like more? How do I phrase this? Would you say that you learned more in school or after?
I learned more after. The in school gives you the put in basically. Like
Exactly, and that's exactly what I
you
mean. You
have
get
to
the
learn like all the
fundamentals, and
like
then
for me, yeah, I had to learn like the important things like learning like signal flow, like learning what goes into what plugs into what,
and
like as
why,
far as to make
and
shit work,
like
you know.
you could
And
always
it's kind of like
reverse
at
the
school
signal
to help
flow
you
on
with like that
anything,
was
and then it's gonna sound to most like garbage. But you look at, you know, example, 9 Inch Nails. Like Trent Reznor, he doesn't do anything the right way on purpose.
hmm
So you can learn the fundamentals of basics when it comes to that, and otherwise it's like, dude, just play with it. Just figure it
yeah,
out.
and really like everything, you know, when I got out of school, like and when I got into Mercury, the one thing that we had it was that like Adam would basically make us run the rehearsal studio, but like in return we can do whatever the fuck we wanted in the studio.
Oh yeah, that was ninety
'Cause
percent of the job.
that's like it's like, well, maybe I won't pay you in the sense,
Or
but
at all.
yeah, he's like, but every once in a while he gives you some money, and
Here's
we
20
had our
bucks for
budget.
gas.
We had that one budget where we would go buy snacks for the studio.
The snack budget was awesome though, because the gas station right there across the parking lot, their Cuban coffee was amazing.
Oh yeah, that's true.
All
But
right, so
we got to the point
let
where we started going to Walmart for our snacks.
oh shit. Yeah, that's true. Oh god. Okay, so let's jump forward because I think we're getting close to Mercury, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So about this
So
time,
how
yeah.
did you get to Mercury? Give me that whole run up and story.
So here's how that happened. So when I was when I would take like guitar lessons, and when I would go, like when you go to like Fan Ash or like Guitar Center or whatever,
Right.
there are those magazines, like those free magazines that's like kind of local
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever. It's like
right up front by the door.
yeah, yeah. So I would always look at those, and then Mercury had that one. They had that page ad, like
Oh
Mercury
yeah.
accepting interns, and like that's where I saw it. And so like I messaged, I called, and I believe I talked to Adam, and then I'm like, hey, I'm interested. I was wondering if I could come in for an interview, and then he was like, yeah, just come in on that day. And then like it just so happened that the day that he told me to come in was on my birthday, and it was kind of funny. So like I go up and I'm like, trying to be like to have my like I have like a resume. I'm like trying to go. But I walk up into this spot and Adam's not there, but Ian is, and this is
Of
where I met
course.
Ian.
That's
So
the
like
MO.
I talked to him for a while. And then he was, it was just basically like, yeah, this is kind of the job here. It's like showed me around for a little bit, and
Right.
then he's like, I was like, cool. Like I'd be down to hang out. Like if you want me to hang out for a while. He's like, no. He's like, got any plans? I was like, well, today's my birthday. He's like, what? He's like, what are you doing here? And I was like, all right, man. Then I'll see you later. So then I met Adam the next time, and just kind of the same formalities. He kind of showed me like around and kind of wanted me to see what I could do. And I told him what I could do, and I kind of was showing him like some editing stuff that I could do.
Right.
He would do one of his little sessions where he's like, all right, I want you to do like some editing over here, blah blah blah. Maybe we'll record over here. And so like after a while, Adam like really took to me and just was just like, oh man, like you're my bro and all that stuff. And I always accredit it to the I don't know. I have after you get to know me, I guess I have this like likable thing. I guess
Yeah,
quality.
no, he's definitely a likable dude. Like, he's a cool guy to talk to. He is definitely knowledgeable about music. There's no question about that. Um, I mean, shit. Well, when was that? That couldn't have been much before when I came in, right?
Um, I was I there for a long. I think I was there for a year before you came in.
Okay, so that would be like '07. Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I think I was there for like a year at that because at that point I was pretty much like running stuff. Like Ian was there, but he was about to leave, and he had got another job. And
Yeah, even
like
even when I showed up, like Ian was like a guest spot. If Ian was
yeah,
there, it was like a
he was
big
like
deal.
he was like making his way out because he was gonna start working in real spots.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
That working with Little John and shit.
Yeah, right. I remember when that happened.
And
Everybody was like, "What
so
the fuck? This
yeah,
is
like of
dumb."
course he did. But Ian was very knowledgeable. He was a really good engineer, and he had a really good knack for it.
Right. So wait,
Uh,
let's go back to when you got there. Was Mike there when you got there? Mike Capsh.
oh shit, I forgot Cash. No, no,
He wasn't there
Mike
yet.
wasn't. No, it was just me and Ian, and then there was like a couple others. There was Ricky who was there. I don't know if you know Ricky.
Oh
Um,
shit. Maybe.
yeah, the black dude.
Yeah, 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 yeah. He was there when I got there. He didn't
Yeah,
go by
so
Ricky
Ricky
though.
was
What was his name?
Ricky Ricketts. No, that was his full name. But
No,
he was
no, no. He.
like,
I swear to God, he went by something else.
I don't know. I always knew him as Ricky, but he was like an engineer too. Like, but he was like he had gone to school with Ian. They both went to FAU and
Okay.
did music. They did the music route, like the actual route.
Oh, like the big boy deal.
Yeah, like where you probably have to learn an instrument. And that's where
Well,
Ian
that's
went
dumb.
to. He played like saxophone or something. I love Ian was great. He played like saxophone. I love that about him. So I mean, even people that were not there, is like like when I was there, it was like seriously just Ian, and then like a couple of other people. Like there's like drummer Gus.
Oh yeah, Gus. I forgot about him.
Yeah, there was like other people, but they were like not. They would be in and out of that spot. They
Right.
weren't really there, and so like it wasn't until like after that then we had people. Then Rich showed up after that. Then like we had a slew of other people that were there for like a second, and they were like, nah, I'm not about this.
Right.
And then even there was a kid that I knew. Yes, there was a kid that I knew from that went to high school with me, and he came out to intern, and he was just like, nah, I'm not feeling this. Like this place sucks. And I was like, I mean, kind of. It wasn't like that. It's just the way it looked. I can see what people would be talking because
Yeah, no, I agree. Like
you
at
think
face
like
value,
a
that
big
place did
studio,
not look good.
but in reality, like there you were just getting knowledge. Like I learned a lot from Adam. Like in general, like just music stuff and music biz stuff, and just like he had a lot of knowledge as far as like what he's done through too.
Yeah.
And
Now I don't know his backstory. I know the whole '80s thing and looking like Pauly Shore and whatnot, but I'm gonna try.
well, I mean,
Like I said, I'm gonna try to get him on an episode. I have no doubt that he would jump on it like white on rice. But yeah, no, like his knowledge as far as recording and music seemed to just kind of come from nowhere sometimes.
right, and he just knew it. I mean, and he was just talented. He wrote songs, well, like even some of the songs that I've been in the sessions where he's been writing them, and I'm like, man, that song's good. That, like, remember that girl, Carrie Roberts?
Yes. Yep.
And like he had wrote that one song, or he wrote a few songs or something for her.
Yeah, I think both of us were there for a session one time, and both of us like,
Yeah.
what the hell? Like,
I don't know if she was the one that did that "Praying for Rain" song. I
I
don't know.
think so. I
But
don't
I
know
always
now.
remember random little songs that Adam would put out. But like, um, but just that in general, like for me, it was a big learning experience. I felt like that also helped me as I got as I started getting more comfortable with like myself as far as music
Right.
and being a producer. At that point, I feel like what I was learning from Adam was how to be a producer
Yeah.
and, and not just near, because that's what he would tell me. He would be like, "This is what you want to do. You want to be able to do everything."
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
and
Yeah.
that's
You want to know every aspect of every game. So if
yeah,
for some reason, and this did happen for both of us multiple times, you get somebody come in for a session and you're the only one there sometimes, you have to be able to do it all.
yeah. So like, then that was the good learning experience for me. I feel like that's kind of what made it make more sense to me. And yeah, uh, so we're who else?
So at
Yeah,
that point then, I would say is when I come in and kind
mm,
of I don't want to say I flip the game, but I feel like part of my presence being there, being very clearly the youngest person in this studio ever with any level of pseudo knowledge. Like,
right.
that's when I want to say that's when shit got weird as far as the studio and everybody else. And not weird in a bad way, just saying like everything changed, I feel. And I didn't even know this, but compared to before I showed up and after I showed off, things changed.
Mm.
And
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know why, but
I could see that. Like, I mean, I mean, even like those first couple times I like, like I met you and we're hanging with Adam, and then Adam's like, "Yo, show me some of your songs, or whatever,"
yeah.
and then Adam wanted to jump on it. but
Yeah, I still
but
have a CD somewhere. I think it's in my dad's place, but I still have a CD somewhere of a song I had wrote and recorded with a friend of mine from high school, Orlando, who is probably gonna do this whole deal tomorrow. But it was initially called "Dropped Call," and I gave Adam a disc of everything that he and I had been doing for the last 5 years, and he jumped on this song like crazy. He's like, "Oh, this is great. Let's work it a little bit." And I have a 2/3 finished version of what he recorded. Like
yeah,
that's what he would do though. That was kind of the magic of him, was that he would jump on a project, get you like almost there, and then it would die off.
then it would just yeah. So I mean, even like right before that, that's enter Rich. Like Rich would be there, and he, for a while, like he, like when like Ian was kind of like leaning towards out, like me and Rich would be there all the time, and so like Rich, we would be the ones. He would be messing around with stuff in the studio, and I'd be listening, and then that's kind of how our thing kind of started, where it's like I tell you what to do, you
Right.
do it. You know how to do the technical side. I got the creative part. Like, let's do this.
Right.
And then when you came in, it was like, oh, another dude that's really talented. Like as far as like his playing, is like, or at least way better than I am, and he can probably play anything I tell him to.
At least I
Which is
tried.
to a degree, or better than what I could do at the time. And so even those were like building. Those are my process as well as like getting better at music and getting better at like playing something and like getting out an idea. Like that stuff didn't like that's what's crazy is that stuff only came to me like within the last year.
Oh,
Like
really?
as far as how good I am now with
I
it.
mean, oh, was it 2 months ago that I was down there? Almost two
Yeah.
months, something like that. Yeah, like even when we're just sitting on my dad's back patio and you're just noodling on a guitar, I'm like, oh shit, Brian has like jumped a lot.
Yeah. And it's crazy that like, I felt like the my time in Denver was probably going to be the thing that like it's going to change everything. But in reality, like I was just living up there, and like I would go hang out with Rich every once in a while. And we'd talk music and we'd discuss stuff, and that'd be kind of it. Like I had my own little setup. Like at that point, I started buying stuff. I started buying guitars,
Right.
and then I started buying just stuff. And I was like, all right, well, let me learn and
Yeah.
like let me really get into it. But like I would, I got caught up in just like working and personal life and just whatever, like
Yeah. No,
just enjoying
unfortunately
the
sometimes it kind of falls to the wayside, and you think about it pretty much every day, no matter what, but then you don't do anything with it.
right. And then but at the time, I feel like like being in Denver, I liked it so much that it kind of like took up my time where I was like, where you have times where you're at home and then you're like, all right, now I'm gonna work on something.
Right.
I barely had times like that where it's like, oh, I'm at home, but the only time I would be at home would be like if I'm sleeping or kind of just like recovering and not trying to be hanging out with anybody. And
Yeah.
then I'm going out. Oh, we're going to this Rockies game. Oh, we're going to the Nuggets game. Oh, cool. Let's go to the Broncos. So it's
Right.
like there was so much, and then like at that point, like I just between work and like my social life, it was just like, man, I would just go out all the time, and
Right.
and it just kind of went off by the wayside. But I would always go back and go to Rich, but it just I knew that if I just kept doing that, like it would be there. It was just something about me.
Yeah,
I
no, for
was
sure. Like
I look at
I've had the same exact scenario. It's like, you get distracted with life and having fun and all that noise, and in my case, you get married, you have a kid, all that. And you're like, yeah, no, it'll be there when I want it. It's always sitting in the corner. And you don't you play around with it sometimes a little bit, and then it's just like, okay, cool, whatever. But yeah, no, you get that weird feeling that what what is missing, and then you're like, oh shit, that thing I used to do all day every day.
yeah, and so stuff like that. But the thing about being up there was I was going also I was going to shows like all the time,
Right.
and it was just ridiculous how many shows I could go to on on a monthly basis. Um, so I mean, and it wasn't until I came back, when I came back and I would just be sitting here and I'm just like, man, like what am I doing? Like, and I was like, let me just really start doing stuff. And so like I would just start messing around, and then I would show Jason, like I would just send stuff to Jay, be like, what do you think? And he's like, I like this, and and then you'd always have something to say, like, but you could do this, or, like, just kind of give me some pointers, like some nice criticism, or, yeah, constructive criticism.
Right.
And then I would just take that, and then I went to YouTube University, and I started learning all this all the little tricks that I started to gain knowledge from, like, just in general. Like, I always knew about, like, layering stuff and just all this other things, but there's ways of doing it, like, and I just started taking it from there, and then I just started expanding it. So every time later, I would start showing Jay something, like it would just be like, oh, like he'd be like, damn, man, like that's good. Like I did not know you could do that. And then like now it's to the point where I talk to him about like, nah, man, your beats are like just on point. Like they
Right.
sound great, loud, but everything's in place. Like,
I mean, yeah, I mean, layering, I think, is something both of us didn't learn until like way too late in the game. But we
yeah,
talked about that when I was down and how, like, as far as, both of us kind of naturally make different kinds of music, but we both get both sides. Um, the the whole concept of layering does not come naturally to anybody ever. It's one of those things where it's like, this just it's too thin. There's not enough here. It's not what I want to hear. And then I don't know about you, but I accidentally came across the whole layering concept.
mm,
And I'm like, um yeah, okay, this is cool. What if I put the same part played differently on top? And I almost
yeah.
shit my pants. I'm like, "Oh my god.
But
That's
that's
how you do that?" Like, you
like
hear it. You
how
hear
I
it in everything. You listen to the on the radio, on a CD, anything. You hear it, but you don't know what you're hearing.
yeah, like how like came across. Well, basically, like we started doing it was like ad libs when we were doing rap,
Right.
and that was like the one thing that like Mark was teaching us. He was like, yeah, he's like, maybe you're gonna want to do the choruses twice and do it like that, and it'll sound like this. And then we started like, I'm like, oh wow. So like at that point, I started like learning for like on the hip hop end of it, where it's like everything's already kind of thin, but like there are certain vocals that get like
Punched up.
get a punch like when you had it when you double up the vocals
Right.
and and then that's kind of like, but I never understood it as far as like a musical instrument standpoint, where like you're putting things together, harmonizing instruments and layering
Right,
stuff,
because that's one of those things too. It's like doubling is such a common practice as far as vocals are concerned, or just like a single obvious part. Like when you come to like a guitar solo or something, you always want to double it just to fill it out sonically. But when it comes to like drums or rhythm parts or anything that pulls things forward through the song, you don't think about doubling, tripling, sometimes quadrupling anything.
no, yeah, and now look for like I just do the most basic like drum beat, and then I just start putting stuff in it,
Yeah.
and just start seeing what sounds good, what doesn't, and then it's so wild to me too, because now it's like it's not about using like musical instruments, like also using like tone textures, like
Yeah.
it's like you're painting a picture for the blind.
Yeah, it's
In a
it's
sense.
it's wallpaper for the music.
Yeah, and so just now getting into that more is just like that's changed a lot of how I do it, like how I make music now.
Yeah.
It and you know coming from Mercury, like that stuff helped a lot. And then after really after coming back from Denver, and then that was just like where I was at that point. I was just like, man, let me just focus on music for a second.
Yeah.
Like I'm at a rebuild stage in my life. I might as well just figure this part out.
Yeah.
And just
Well,
just
and that's
really
the cool
start.
thing about it is that, I think you and I are kind of at similar points in our lives, even though we're 5 years apart. But it's one of those things where it's like, that's the one thing you can always rely on. It'll always be there. You have
Right.
a shit day, you come back, and you're like, oh, you know what? Let me just fuck around with my laptop and shit for a bit. And
Yeah.
instantly you're like, oh, okay, I'm in a new universe. I feel better. And hey, look, I made something cool.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. Well, I think we've reached the summation of at least this episode. We're already over an hour, but
Right.
good deal.
Oh,
All right, man.
yeah, man.
Well, I will talk to you soon. Obviously, there will be further episodes in the future. The initial plan is to get everybody's background on things, and after that, it's really just going to be about shit we like, and it's going to be like an OG, like mid '90s radio show. But
Nice.
awesome, man. It was good talking to you.
Oh, yeah. You too, man. That's great. I like it.
All right. I have been Kevin. He has been.
Brian.
All right. We'll see you guys soon. Later. So there you have it. The first episode of The Sounds That Made Us. Brian will be back in future episodes. I've already asked him. He said for sure. So stay tuned for further episodes with other people I know that love music, including Brian, and maybe I'll even get my dad on here. That could be cool. So, here we go. Let's go into the future.